The migrant workers are deprived of any rights and sell its labor power. They move from developing countries to developed countries. So those transnational elites compose the dominant position in the global social space, and the migrant working classes make up the dominated positions in the global social space. You have the expat transnational elites, and on the other side the migrant workers. Social process in the global class system, we find social exclusion, marginalization, confinement of migrants. Example, we have the Lociers in Spain, or the island prison for refugees of Nauru, Australia. The cultural imperialism, example, Islamophobia in Germany against Muslim immigrants. The exploitation, example, African migrant laborers in Andalusian greenhouse. And we also find violence, even structural violence. Example here, there is a use of tear gas against refugees by Greek police, separation of mothers and children on the USA-Mexico border, and a feeling of helplessness. Here is a picture from the manifestation of Manteros from Lavapiés, protesting for the death of a colleague after a police chase. Finally, the PowerPoint showed the idea of is there a global middle class? So, before we say that the term middle class is questioned by many sociologists, we could say that in Western countries, if we accept that there is a middle class, and if we think a middle class in global terms, in general, in Western countries, globalization has generally contributed to the impoverishment and precariousness of these Western middle classes, what the guy standing say, the precariat. But on the other side, in countries before developing, globalization, for example, in countries like China, India, Brazil, or others, has created a new middle class in these countries, emerging from lower strata. Here's what the economist Branko Milanovic, his famous elephant curve, described this trend. So the Milanovic curve said represents the global population from lowest income to highest income by percentiles and determines the change in the real income from the 1988 to 2008. And the graph, his conclusion is that the world's poorest population and the middle classes of developing countries have increased their wealth due to globalization. They are the winners of globalization. But from the 16th to the 18th percentile, in the graph that we will see later, the lower and middle classes of developed countries, the trend is reverse. They are the losers of globalization. The lower and middle classes of developed countries, in particular Western countries. The trend of the globalization led them to stagnation and impoverishment. And finally, also this curve, notice that the highest percentiles, the upper classes of developed countries, have benefited a lot greatly from globalization. This phenomenon also explains the rise of authoritarian national populism with Trump, Brexit, Le Pen, and others. Here you have the graph, the elephant curve. Where do you see this data? Thank you very much for listening, and please study those materials, because it's highly probable that the exam is going to be an online exam, as I'll say on the virtual campus, based on 1 or 2 open questions, but you will only have 2 hours to answer them before sending by email your answer. So it's necessary that you previously, all these materials that I am giving to you, you study it carefully and you read it and you think on it in order to, in these 2 hours, to make a very good exam that I'm sure all of you will do. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll continue to upload the videos like that and PowerPoints. Thank you.